Wexford go to Ennis, and after going a mile behind, they were 118 to 13 points in arrears with just 15 minutes to go. They've turned it around, and Rory O'Connor really led that charge towards the end and scored the winning free. So for Davy Fitzgerald going back to Ennis and getting a victory over his former ally and I suppose latterly foe somewhat, obviously they don't talk, Brian Lohan, getting that win would be a big boost for Wexford because they've 2 wins in a row now. They saw off Laois 4-17 to 10 points. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's big pressure on Brian Lohan after losing to Antrim last week, because this was a much improved performance. And I suppose it was possibly the pressure telling when Liam Corrie got sent off at 15 minutes to go, or 12 minutes to go in fact. That seemed to tell, because Wexford used the ball very well, maybe learned the lessons of the All-Ireland semi-final in 2019 against Tipperary, when a man up and 5 points up, they just didn't have the patience. But when they were 8 points behind, they just completely took over the game. Just even the final quarter, and like all teams are going to be measured in terms of like how did we get on in the first, second, third, fourth quarter. And when Davy Fitzgerald analyses this game, and of course likewise Brian Lohan, they're going to see how do we do in each quarter. The final quarter, it was 2-5 to 2 points to Wexford. So that's totally taken over. Created 12 chances to 5. And if the free taking hadn't been such an issue for Wexford earlier in the game, maybe they would have led from the front rather than having to come from a mile behind. Lee Chin knocked over just 3 of 7 in the first half. A couple of them were difficult, but he certainly would expect to knock over more than that, because he has established himself as a really good free taker for the county. It's been a recurring issue for the model county over the years. So Rory O'Connor took them over, knocked most of them over. I seem to remember him getting one wide in the 56th minute, but was accurate other than that. David Dunn I thought was very impressive in midfield. Lee Chin obviously very good. And I wonder that one of the goals, I think it was the goal for Simon Donoghue, brilliant goal. Rory O'Connor had ran through, but I think he was after getting wrestled to the ground, and I'm sure this is something that will come in for more analysis on the hurling show on Monday. He was wrestled to the ground, but his pass to David Dunn, the referee Fergal Horgan, waved it on, and David Dunn did a brilliant stick pass for Simon Donoghue to bat into the net, and that made it 115 to 119. So that really kind of brought Wexford back into the game. But I wonder, by the letter of the law, should that have been a sin bin and a penalty? And, again, is this the right way for hurling to be going with the advantage rule, that unless there's a clear goal scoring opportunity? And it turned out that there was, but at the point that the pass was played, I'm not 100% sure it was. So there's going to be a lot of these borderline decisions, and there's going to be people falling out over this before the end of the season, no doubt. Rory O'Connor, brilliant again for the second goal. We saw a couple of signs of it, especially with his late goal against Laois, of him cutting through at pace and having that final product. Something that Tipperary and Cork maybe didn't have on Saturday night was that final product after a bit of approach play. Cork especially, because they throw the ball around nicely, a bit like Wexford in some ways. But cut through lovely and knocked the ball on for Lee Chin to whip to the net. Lee Chin, again, ropey on frees at times, but very impactful overall. Eibhear Quilligan had a tough day of it against Antrim, but I thought he stepped up pretty well here. A high catch at one stage, 2 men, Chin and Rory O'Connor bundling in on top of him, but he caught a great ball and made a great save from David Dunn in 59 minutes. So I think Aidan McCarthy started off in the full forward line. Didn't really work too well for him. Like Aaron Shanahan was really good throughout the game, I think. Well, late on it didn't happen so much, but he won a sin bin penalty for which Joe O'Connor got a yellow card. But once Aidan McCarthy went out on 28 minutes out towards midfield, where Tony Kelly, who ended up with a dead leg and had to go off injured, if he goes off, if he's out for any sustained period of time, that'll obviously be big trouble for Clare. But maybe that told for a finish. But Aidan McCarthy was really good once he moved out the field a bit, whether it was hitting over the frees, whether it was knocking over scores from range, because he was very good coming onto the ball. And I think Brian Lohan can really build his team around the likes of Diarmuid Ryan, who was very good in the half-back line, and Aidan McCarthy as well. So I think there's plenty of positives for Clare. Losing the game from so far in front, that's certainly a bit of a knock to them. But they got themselves in a winning position. They took over the game for certain spells, and it's just fading away like that will obviously be quite disappointing. Over the course of the game, they created 29 chances, which in hurling terms is quite low, whereas Wexford, a bit more of 36 is a bit more of what you'd expect, and maybe even a slight bit more. But maybe that red card told for Clare late on. You'd hope it wouldn't knock their confidence too much. But if Tony Kelly comes back, if Colin Galvin can come back, they do have a nice bit of a team to build on and maybe knock away some of the negativity that we saw after the Antrim result. So good win for Wexford, coming from behind to do it like that. And we've seen in the last few years, Galway in 2017 coming from a mile behind to win a league game against Waterford, Limerick in 2018 coming from behind against the Tribe to win a game. And then maybe this can be a spark for Wexford. It remains to be seen. But let me know what you think of the game.